Which of the following statements are true regarding a notary public who knowingly makes a false certificate of acknowledgement under New York state law? 1. A notary public who knowingly makes a false certificate of acknowledgement is guilty of forgery in the second degree. 2. The maximum imprisonment for forgery in the second degree is up to 10 years. 3. A conveyance is considered invalid if the notary's false certificate is part of that conveyance, even if a notary lacked criminal intent. 4. A notary may be held liable for damages if someone is harmed by the false certification. Well, let's look at each of these statements in isolation to help us determine the solution. So again, looking at 1, a notary public who knowingly makes a false certificate of acknowledgement is guilty of forgery in the second degree. If we have a look at the definitions and general terms section of the Notary Public License Law booklet, particularly under the acknowledgement definition, I have an excerpt here starting with fraudulent certificates of acknowledgement, and it states, a notary public who knowingly makes a false certificate that a deed or other written instrument was acknowledged by a party thereto is guilty of forgery in the second degree. Therefore, statement 1 does align with the law that I just read from and is therefore true, and we can put a check mark next to it. 2. The maximum imprisonment for forgery in the second degree is up to 10 years. Back to the law, it actually says that the imprisonment is for a term of not exceeding 7 years. Therefore, when statement 2 says 10 years, that is not true, and we can put an X next to it. 3. A conveyance is considered invalid if the notary's false certificate is part of that conveyance, even if the notary lacked criminal intent. So back to that section, it states from right here, while the absence of guilty knowledge or criminal intent would absolve the notary from criminal liability, the conveyance, of which the false certification is an essential part, is a forgery and therefore invalid. Therefore, statement 3, which aligns with what I just read from, is true, and we can put a check mark next to it. And finally, statement 4, a notary may be held liable for damages if someone is harmed by the false certification. Looking back again at this section, under damages recoverable from notary for false certificate, it states, action for damages sustained where notary certified that mortgager had appeared and acknowledged the mortgage. So indeed, statement 4 that states that someone can be held liable for damages is a true statement, and we could therefore put a check mark next to it. With all this in mind, let's have a look at our 4 choices to determine the solution. Again, remembering that we're looking for which of these 4 statements is true. We've marked off statements 1, 3, and 4 as true, and 2 as untrue. Choice A states 1 and 2 only. This is incorrect because 2 is not true, whereas 3 and 4 in addition to 1 are true, and therefore choice A is not our solution. Choice B states 1 and 3 only. This is also incorrect because 4 is also true, and therefore choice B is not our solution either. Choice C states 1, 3, and 4. This is the solution based on what I marked as true above, but before we mark it as the correct solution and to be in the habit of looking at all 4 choices, let's have a look at choice D. Choice D states 2 and 4 only. This is incorrect because 2 is actually not true, whereas not only is 4 true, but so is 1 and 3. Therefore, choice D is not our solution either, which indeed leaves choice C, 1, 3, and 4 as the correct solution.